The Refutation of Compulsion, Jabr. Ibn Furak copies that Al-Ash'ari said that Jabr has several linguistic meanings. One of them is to fix, mend, or correct something, islah. That's why a cast, like if your bone was broken and you got a cast, it's called in Arabic jabira. The cast is called jabira because it's used to fix the broken bone. The term ijbar also has several linguistic meanings. If it is used to refer to compulsion and coercion, it refers to the doings that take place while the one within whom these deeds take place hates their occurrence. That is for one to be coerced to do what he dislikes, and had he wanted to get out of doing it, he would not find a way. The group called the Jahmiyyah believes in Jabr, compulsion. They believe that the creation has no choice, which implies not being accountable for their deeds. Abu al-Mu'in al-Nasafi said that they are a faction that has no one left to debate for them, and that there is no need for preparation to confront them. The texts, that means their madhab, is very weak. They were crushed, and their idea is so stupid that there's no one who can stand up for them. This is what happens when someone tries to figure out the qadar. He will become a sinful liar for what he said. That's what Tahawi said, if you remember. Imam al-Tahawi said that the one who tries to determine the secret of the qadar will become a sinful liar for what he said. Why would he become a sinful liar? Because he'll say one of two things. He'll either say the slaves create their own deeds, or he'll say the slaves have no deeds. He'll say the slaves create their own deeds and Allah didn't create their deeds and there is no destiny. Or he'll say there is a destiny and Allah created everything and we don't even have any will, and everything that we did, we were compelled to do. The texts pertaining to the compensation of the afterlife, as well as the promise and threat of Allah, prove the invalidity of their saying. Those who said that the slaves have no will and the slaves are compelled to do everything they do. So this is a weaker madhab. Weaker even than the madhab of the Mu'tazila. This is not the way of the Mu'tazila, at least not directly. Indirectly it is. We'll see. Allah said, جَزَاءً بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. Compensation for what they used to do. There, بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ, for what they used to do. That means for what they chose to do, for the actions that they did with their own volition. Allah will compensate them. He also said, بما قدمت يداك وأن الله ليس بظلام للعبيد. For the deeds that you have prepared for yourself, the deeds that you have sent forward. And Allah is not unjust to the slaves. He also said, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah does not charge a soul except with what it is able. It means Allah does not make you accountable to do except what you are able to do. We are certain that the slaves have a choice that drives them to act without being forced or coerced. Anyone who intends to move his hand finds within himself a choice to do the deed or to refrain from it. Likewise is said about the rest of the deeds. This is opposed to the compelled one, for the movement of his hand occurs from him out of coercion, so that if he wanted to refrain from moving, he would be unable. The Jahmiyyah. The Jahmiyyah are named after Jahm ibn Safwan, who said that all living things have no will and no choice in anything that happens to them. Rather, they are all forced and have no ability whatsoever. That's blasphemy. So that's why the Jahmiyyah are mentioned here, because the Jahmiyyah were Jabriyah. The Jahmiyyah were Jabriyah. They were people who believed in compulsion, like the Mu'tazila were Qadariyah. The Qadariyah are those who deny destiny. Who are the deniers of destiny? Al-Mu'tazila. The Mu'tazila are the Qadariyah. The Jabriyah are those who deny the will of the slave. Who are the deniers of the will of the slave? The Jahmiyyah. So the Jahmiyyah are named after Jahm ibn Safwan, who said that all living things have no will and no choice in anything that happens to them. Rather, they are all forced and have no ability whatsoever. He said that the ascription of doing to anyone other than Allah is a figure of speech. Like saying the wall fell and the water ran. He's saying, don't we say the wall fell, the water ran, the hair grew? Yes, we say that. But did the wall have a will when it fell? Did the water have a will when it ran? Did the hair have a will when it grew? No, it didn't. He said, like that is everything we do. So you can say, the boy went to school and played ball in the schoolyard, and he didn't have any will in any of that. That's just like saying the wall fell or the water ran. By doing so, he denied the accountability on the Day of Judgment. This denial of the slave's will is against the saying of Allah, وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. You do not will unless Allah, Lord of the worlds, willed. This ayah proves that the slaves have a will. How so? Because in this ayah there is a negation followed by an exception. And a negation followed by an exception amount to a confirmation. However, a limited confirmation. Whatever is confirmed by such an expression is limited to the exception. However, it's confirmed. So the ayah says, وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ. You do not will. That's a negation. إِلَّا. Unless. That's the exception. So that means then you do will. But that will is limited to what? إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. Unless Allah, Lord of the worlds, willed. Meaning, the will of the slave is limited to whatever Allah willed for the slave to will. So you do not have a will except if Allah willed. Meaning you do have a will that is limited to whatever Allah willed. This saying of his is against what the sane people find within themselves. Talking about Jahm ibn Safwan. Jahm saying that the slaves have no deeds. is against what the sane people find within themselves, because all who look into themselves tell the difference between voluntary and involuntary deeds. Whoever denied the difference between these two cases would not be among the intelligent people. All of what is in the Quran, such as the saying of Allah, يَعْمَلُونَ, they do, and يَفْعَلُونَ, they act, and يَكْسِبُونَ, they acquire, and يَصْنَعُونَ, they make, is refutation against them. Because for us, that's all taken literally. It's not a figure of speech. It's not like saying the water ran. Had the slave had no choice, then addressing him would be of no benefit, and reward and punishment would be inapplicable like the inanimate objects. That is, according to them, the slave has no choice, has no deed and no action and no power, yet Allah commanded him to act and commanded him to refrain. For what? And promised him with reward and threatened him with punishment. Why? So had the slave had no choice, then addressing him would be of no benefit, and reward and punishment would be inapplicable, like the inanimate objects. They also had other deviant sayings, the Jahmiyyah. Just like the Mu'tazilah, besides their denial of Qadr, also had other deviant sayings.